Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the #1 health podcast in the world. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every week to become happier, healthier, and more healed. Today's guest is going to help us do just that. I'm talking about a dear friend of mine who I've been getting to know over the last few years. We've known each other in different incarnations, which I'll explain as the podcast goes through. But for those of you who don't know him, Nemai Delgado was raised as a vegetarian by virtue of his spiritual beliefs and has actually never eaten meat in his life. Nemai became the world's first vegan IFBB professional bodybuilder, proving that you don't need animal products to be an elite athlete. Nemai is a motivational speaker and shares his story all over the world to bring awareness to the many benefits of a plant-based lifestyle and the importance of exercising our bodies and our compassion. Nemai has also founded Veg Nutrition, an all-natural supplement company, and veganfitness.com, where he has coached thousands of clients along with a handful of phenomenal celebrities and athletes doing their best while being plant-based. Please welcome to the show, Nemai Delgado. Nemai, it's great to have you here, man.
Jay, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, bro.
No, it's great to finally have you here. We've talked about this for a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad you're coming on now. I can honestly say that you're one of the toughest, strongest guys I know, but at the same time, you're also one of the sweetest, kindest guys I know. And I think that combination is really powerful. But I want to talk about your journey today. I want to talk about some of your insights today. You know, we have a big community here who wants to be healthier, who wants to be happier. Let's start with right now. Like, what makes you feel happy and healthy right now, today?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I think, first of all, it just begins with waking up feeling like I have purpose. Definitely waking up, tending to myself first and foremost, my morning routine, my water, my meditation practices, all of these things that I've slowly built the practice of over the course of 10, 15 years that have now been so ingrained into the fabric of who I am. And that is what really keeps me feeling good and showing up for whatever the day has to throw at me. So, I mean, once you find that, then it really does allow you to live in that healthy space to where you can show up and handle anything, really. So first of all, it's what time I wake up. I'm sure you've had plenty of guests on the show that talk about the benefits of waking up early. I try to wake up at the same time every morning. So for me, that's anywhere like around 6 o'clock.
Same as me, yeah.
I don't have an alarm clock. I just naturally wake up at that time. My body's just like, all right, ready to go. And then I just drink my cup of water and I will find a quiet space. I have a little meditation station in my house with my red light, and I'll just sit and just breathe. And it's not perfect every morning. This is what I don't want to preach or come on here and talk about is perfection. I really am not a perfect person. And I want to really first and foremost make that clear because it's not perfect, but the days that I do show up, I show up to the degree that I can. So sometimes that's 20 minutes, sometimes that's longer, sometimes it's even 5. And for me, that tone of really setting the tone for the rest of my day with intention, with that piece of just tapping into whatever my body needs that morning, and then letting that dictate how I operate for the rest of the day. There's plenty of benefits behind red light. I'm not an expert in it, but I believe it was developed by NASA. They have like over 500 different scientific studies that show some of the benefits. I believe the main benefit is with ATP production. So it's the energy produced by your cells. So it helps you rejuvenate cells and get rid of old damaged cells and replace them with new cells. So for somebody who wants to recover from athletic training, it's a great way to start your day. It also helps with skin if somebody has some skin issues there too. So, and it's also just nice it provides a little bit of heat too. So It can just provide that nice ambient lighting in the morning when it's still dark outside.
My question is, do you feel that you, at this stage, before we go back, what do you feel you proved to yourself? Like when I read things like you've never eaten meat and that, you don't need animal products to be an elite athlete, is that something you set out to do? Is that something that was important to you? Or is that something that kind of has just happened in society as something that interests people?
So for me personally, it was never something that I had set out to do. I had honestly been ashamed of being plant-based. So I was, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, I was raised vegetarian by virtue of my parents' spiritual beliefs, of which I was raised with as well. And one of those beliefs is ahimsa, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, which is just trying to live a life and not contribute to any unnecessary harm or suffering, and try to lead with compassion. So by virtue of trying to follow that, it leads me to make the choice to not consume animal products. And when I was raised vegetarian, I grew up in Mississippi, and there weren't too many vegetarians in Mississippi. And I would constantly get questioned and asked about my spiritual beliefs whenever I was younger, and I didn't have the vernacular or the language to really explain myself. So I tended to become more withdrawn or just a little bit more avoidant whenever people would ask me that question. And it really wasn't until my later years, when I was mid-20s, when I leaned into that part of myself and started to really embrace and own my belief and being proud of that belief,